It is not something that you can do anything about. You self-expel.
So if the party is in breach of its own constitution, it cannot be rectified by a court of law? Is that what you're saying?
That's what I'm saying. What I'm saying is this. If you look at those who went to court without waiting for the internal mechanism, we have the Tinubu reconciliation panel. They could have gone there. We have a meeting, expected meeting for next NEC, which occurred yesterday. They could have waited. They didn't wait. They rushed to court in violation of the party constitutional provision. They went to court. Under our constitution, if actually implemented the way it is, once you go to court without exhausting internal party constitutional mechanism, you self-expel. And you only become a member when you withdraw those cases from court. In this case, we have 3 cases in court. Mr. President, consistent with the decision of 27, appeared yesterday and advised us based on the advice he had received from other lawyers.
I'm wondering, why is the APC seemingly afraid of a convention?
No one is afraid of a convention. It's not a matter of being afraid of a convention. We formed this party at a very tough time. By 2013, when the party was being formed, through 2014, it was a tough time, and we did. Here you have a year when you have election, primaries, coming up according to the INEC guideline schedule on August. In 2013 or 14, when we had our convention and congresses, we had 2 states that were going for election, the Osun state and the Ekiti state. And within the party, in this case, the NWC decided that it might affect us. The aftermath of those congresses will affect us. So Osun State and Ekiti State were postponed. And so relying on that historical analysis, and of course we came out successful in the election. Relying on that, we're saying that there might be issues. You know, once you go into Congress, the minorities, will usually go to court and challenge it. And we might not have enough time to resolve all the issues that might arise from the congresses and perhaps convention. So to ensure that the party remains intact, a decision was reached to give extension of time. And once the primaries and election is exhausted, then we can come back and do our congresses and convention. But other people differ, and they went to court. So as
a rider to that, you see, with all this conflict and the Tinubu Committee of Reconciliation with factions in almost about 5 or so states, it is the thinking of the majority of the NEC that when you now introduce congresses, you will now add salt to injury. So it is in their own wisdom that probably if the status quo had been remained and to be elongated, it will now allow for a mature period for these reconciliation processes concluded. Then you will now go into congresses with one voice.
I want to sorry to interrupt you, Honorable. I want to quickly read a part of the President's statement, which was talking about the consequences that could arise in the event that your party goes into these elections or that the NWC conducts these primaries. You know, if they don't do new elections or do new congresses to get new members. Right. He talked about how they could. Let me see now. Furthermore, I think if we deviate from the constitutional provisions, we might be endangering the fortunes of our party. If the tenure of our party executives can be legally faulted, then it means that any nominations and primary elections that they may conduct can also be faulted. Are you not putting in jeopardy the candidates which you're going to put forward for the Osun and Ekiti elections if the congresses are conducted after June with this NWC?
You see, again, Mr. President was just advising us. And if you read further, because we have to read this in complete to quite understand it. If you read further, you will see that at the end of the day, Mr. President said that we should deliberate on it. And in course of that deliberation, he received advice from lawyers. And many of us are lawyers as well. And in that neck are several signs, including the vice president, including a governor, at least a governor, the Ondo State governor, including our own legal advisor, whom constitutionally he's the one that will tell us where this legal position is. Not a lawyer from outside. The person that can tell the NEC what is the legal position is the legal advisor. So what Mr. President had done was help us to revisit it and find a way, a legal way of solving our problem.
Do you share his optimism on that?
Yeah, you see, I do, but you see, let me make some clarification. People are assuming that the 27 February declaration remains binding. No. You see, we have what is called doctrine of necessity. Some people view the present circumstances and scenario. So we try to really aid the process of reconciliation. Hence, we know that these are the party constitutional provision. Like I said, Article 13, 17, and 31. And again, the Nigerian Constitution, 223, that parties must conduct election into offices periodically. Now, the issue at stake is that we look at our Constitution, marry it with the present circumstances and the crisis brewing or brewed up already. For us to get out of it, we have to really introduce what we call doctrine of necessity. And that is why they say from that 27 to March ending, they have given 1 month. Though this is the majority position that the elongation should be effected. And so that we look into the process. This is a vision.
Yes.
Before June, what can we do to achieve that and does not violate our stand? Definitely the constitutional amendment will come into effect. So until June, if the status quo remains until June, which is the end of their tenure, and nothing has been done, then the party could have been adjudged to have breached the constitution governing it.
Oh, we'll take a moment now. When we come back, we'll deepen even more the conversation. In just a moment, please stay with us.